Well, welcome to the Capabilities Briefing. We appreciate you guys coming here. Good morning to everybody on this fine Tuesday. I'm Dave Lowe. I am the one of the special advisors here, and with me I have Keith Hasty. He's the Vice President of Keystone. Say hey, Keith.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Yeah, it's great. It's a nice day. How are things out in Chicago?
A little gloomy, but you know, it could be worse. It could be snow, 8 inches of snow. We're lucky we don't have it yet.
That's exactly right. That's perfect. Right. Real quick, this event is not affiliated or endorsed by any agency and is provided to the audience for informational purposes only. All participation in this briefing is voluntary, and any engagement by government personnel, that's you, is not an indication or endorsement of or commitment to purchase from any vendor, including us. We want to make sure that we can create dialogue here. We do want to welcome all the folks that have signed up for this. There's a lot of interest here on two fronts. One is finding out about what Keystone is and what we do in professional services, but also about HUBZone and how to be able to leverage that as a set-aside to be able to meet your requirements, right? So with that, we welcome all the folks that are here. If we missed your agency, we apologize for that. We try to get everybody up here for that. So a little bit about Keystone Advisors. Keith, tell us how this works with Keystone and what it is that we've done over the past years and all those things.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Dave. Keystone is a licensed CPA firm. We're licensed in the state of Illinois and in the state of Virginia. Our federal practice has been in existence for over 7 years now, practicing in both those states, and we have people across the United States also, not just in those two states. We have over 25 professionals, CPAs, CSS, and CDFMs. Our corporate headquarters are in Illinois, but our projects, as I said before, are in DC, Virginia, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Illinois. We have a top secret facility, facility clearance. We, of course, are a woman-owned, minority-owned firm with a GSA schedule holder and Seaport E contract holder. And then, of course, we are HUBZone certified as of August of 2016.
And that's one of the main reasons why we're here, is that HUBZone certification. And let's find out why the folks are here. All right, so we'll close that in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see. We'll share these results. So I need help meeting HUBZone goals, and I want to learn more about HUBZone contracts. Very, very specific. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. And so we know that we're all in this together. That's awesome. I appreciate you doing that. So why are we here? What is HUBZone and why use it? There's a lot of folks that we talked to on the phone before we even started this, and one of the reasons why we thought it was important was to dialogue about these HUBZone contracting issues. We'll show off Keystone a little bit so that you can find out about our professional services as well and our past performance. We'll talk about that, but ultimately what you guys need is help meeting those HUBZone goals and understanding what HUBZone is and why we should use it, right? So if you have any questions, real quick, you can open the panel. You can also shoot a question to govsupport@keystoneadv.com. But you can open that panel, you can raise your hand, you can ask questions, and you can let us know if there's anything in particular you would like us to discuss. A couple of other little things is that if you like the way that Keith and I look today, you can grab that panel and you can make us look bigger if you want to. If not, you can make us disappear completely and you can just look at the presentation. So when we ask these questions, this would be the best briefing ever if it explained it well and properly. Love it, Libby. Thank you very much. And Reva said, if I receive more information regarding the company capabilities, experience, and teaming arrangements with other industry partners, like that too. Hopefully we can help you there. Paulette, I gain information as to how the HUBZone is important to your field. Love that as well. Daryl, if you learned something, very good. Appreciate that. And Eugenia, I knew exactly all the ins and outs of what is expected and how to do the things that are required of me. Love it. Kim, helps my agency meet the HUBZone goals. Hopefully we can help you do that. Helps in using the HUBZone set-asides for professional services, like that. And Karen, I learned more of how Keystone advisors can fill requirements. Really appreciate you guys being here and asking those questions. So here's the question that we have. I expect a HUBZone set aside when? When do you expect a HUBZone set aside? Is it going to be right away that you need something done? We had a couple of folks say we have something that right now. And then Q2 2017, Q3, Q4, as you know, these are fiscal year Qs, so not sure. So go ahead and let us know about that so we make sure that we can get you what you need in order to support that. Fair enough? Share those results, a lot of them in Q3, and not sure the vast majority. That's great, appreciate that as well. So with that, let's talk about HUBZone. We'll talk about some of the driving forces behind it and why this is happening. Who really decides on whether or not it goes HUBZone, and who does the choosing of HUBZone? So about HUBZone, it was created, the Small Business Reauthorization Act in 1997 is what created it. So you see the blurb there. It is the idea is to help underutilized areas in the United States that don't traditionally have a lot of business in them, or if it's a depressed area. So the qualifications of that is that 35% of the folks that are working there have to come from HUBZones. And right now there's over 18,000 HUBZone qualified areas, and you can see the statistics here, 708 in non-metropolitan counties, 108 within base closures and Indian lands as well. So you see that. So ultimately, there's 5,314 HUBZone companies. A lot of the companies have been traditionally on the labor side and facilities maintenance and things like that. Ultimately, though, we need, as agencies need to meet that 3% agency-wide requirement, and that's been a requirement since 2003. Which is what makes it really amazing that a lot of folks don't really know how to operate this. And if you take a look at what's happening there in the marketplace and why there's so much interest, most of the categories you're either really close with, like women-owned at 4.61%. The rest of them, all the goals are being met with the exception of the HUBZone goals, which is why some of these things are now going to be created and coming down. And some of the benefits of utilizing HUBZone can really help you meet those goals. Here's another chart, very Christmassy, right? So you have the bar, the total is 3% is where we're trying to get to. And then we have it almost made it in 2009, 2010, and then it started to come back down after that. So we're about 1.5% across the government. There are some success stories of utilizing HUBZone. You have Department of Transportation, which blew it wide open last year in 2015. And so you can see some of the success stories here with SBA. Obviously, it's their own program, so that's the idea. The Bureau of the Interior is there, land management specifically, GSA, and other folks, as you can see. So you can see that there are success stories of agencies that are meeting it. Now, if your agency isn't on here, you're not meeting those goals, which is probably one of the reasons why you are here. So we appreciate you being here. So here are the options for contracting with HUBZone. First is a competitive award, and this only requires two. There's a choice of two that applies here, where if you have two qualified companies that have the ability, that have HUBZone certification, you can choose from the choice of two. If you're doing your market, if you're doing a fair market price, if it reaches that fair market price. The other is you can actually sole source. If you don't think that you're going to have your two, you can actually sole source if it's a fair price. So you can utilize HUBZone as a sole source option. A lot of folks didn't know that. And this is directly from the SBA. You can see the source is SBA.gov, and we're going to provide that link as well. Here are the restrictions, though. It can't exceed $7.5 million for manufacturing or $4 million in other requirements like professional services and other services. Here's the other part. Full and open with price of value and preference. And what this means is if there isn't if a small business cannot fulfill this goal, you can reach out to a HUBZone and you can award it to a HUBZone, and you have a 10% price buffer. So if you need to meet your goals, you actually have a 10% price buffer if there's no other small business that can fulfill that goal. Make sense, everybody? So that's the criteria for your options in contracting for HUBZone. So who decides this? The fact of the matter is, if you're a contracting officer, it's you. You don't have to go to SBA. You don't have to ask any questions. You do proper market research, and proper market research can be a choice of two. If you know two companies that can fulfill the goal, you can do that. You can sole source it as well. It can even be competed between two HUBZones that have GSA schedules as well. A lot of times we see that with GSA e-buy, where you can put things on e-buy and you can just have it for HUBZone, or just a couple of HUBZone companies that are on GSA. Here's the thing. There are no self-certifications with HUBZone. You have to be certified by SBA. It is an arduous process, as Keith can attest to, that you go through to be able to be HUBZone certified. So here's the next question. I would use HUBZone more if if you understood HUBZone better, if I knew at least two qualified HUBZone vendors, if the primes I worked with used HUBZone, because that's another way we can drive it down, right? From contracting to be able to require that and actually see that fulfilled. If I understood the HUBZone paperwork, that's where it comes down. So here we just a few more seconds. Let us know what you're thinking. Let's know what you got, and we'll make sure we get you included in the process. Done. So we know that everybody's in the same boat. Understood HUBZone better. Great. So we'll make sure we get you information on HUBZone as well, and we'll get you tied in with some of the SBA folks for that. So there you go. So any questions about what's happening in HUBZone, in the HUBZone conversation? We're going to take this information back to the folks at SBA as well and talk with this and dialogue with them and make sure that we do that. So go ahead and ask questions. Let me see what we have as far as questions go. Anybody have their hands raised? You can raise your hands in that panel on the right. All right. I guess we explained it about as best we could there, Keith, because we don't have any questions on this quite yet. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and if it's specific to your agency, we can talk about those things too. So next, let's talk about Keystone Advisors, because we're actually talking about professional services that you can get through and meet your HUBZone requirements, right? So here's some of the capabilities. Tell us about what we do here. We have staff augmentation, financial services, and IT cybersecurity are three primary focuses that we have in the federal space. So tell us about the staff augmentation piece, Keith, and how we help agencies be able to meet these requirements and their search.
Thank you, Dave. In our staff augmentation division, we provide people in a number of different financial, administrative, and clerical areas. Both program management individuals, financial analysts, budget analysts, administrative and clerical staff also. This has been, we provide this across the spectrum for both federal clients, healthcare clients, manufacturers, and for, as I mentioned, federal agencies. When we get into the staff augmentation, some of the work that we've done before in the past is GSA Public Building Services, for example. The unique challenge about that was that we were coming up towards the end of the year, and they needed to staff up fairly quickly with financial analysts. We were able to provide a number of staff individuals for them because of our database of resources that we maintain. We maintain over 500,000 individuals' resources that we have access to in cases where we need them right away. And in that case, we were able to turn a staff around in like 10 days total time.
Wow.
VA and healthcare. We've done a lot of work for the VA, both program management folks and billing and revenue support individuals around the country, like in Detroit and in Texas. Of course, we've done work with DoD clients too, providing staff for those individuals. And lastly, of course, to large CPA firms. They tend to have the peaks and the valleys in their business, and we're able to provide staff for those folks.
Super.
In the financial services area, that's where we do a lot of audit type of work. Some of the audit work that we've done is in the grants area. We're now working in this GONE area, which is a new act by Congress requiring that agencies report and close out these grants by December 31st. We're doing some work with that. We've done auditing of SBRs and SBA statements, and of course full financial statement audits also too. In the compliance area is where we're getting involved, and done a little bit of work, but we're extending that in the indirect cost audits and the rate review and development. That's for both federal clients and for commercial clients. And then, of course, this whole audit support area, supporting federal agencies with their FSMA requirements and their FSCAM requirements, and then accounting and design review of their accounting systems.
We talked about some of the past performances here. This goes across the board with financial services. CPA firm, shocker, right? So being able to support that with these folks. Tell us a little bit about some of these, how we've supported folks over the past several years.
Okay, great. The Navy, the DLA, and DFAS, we've done a lot of work with helping them prepare for their audit. As you may or may not know, DoD is probably the last agency to get audited, have audited financial statements. So we've done a lot of audit readiness work for those agencies, provided CPAs and CISAs for the IT systems and to help prepare them. And DLA in particular has been a real interesting one for us because they are probably the closest towards having an audited financial statement. In the actual audit itself, we've done work with the Army. We've actually audited the Army. We've done work with the Marines and Homeland Security in actually doing the audit itself. Of course, in the healthcare industry, a lot of our professional services, it revolves around strategic planning. We've been doing a lot of strategic planning for hospital systems here in the Illinois area and in the DC market, and have been doing revenue recognition and enhancements for those hospital systems.
Super.
And then in the IT cybersecurity area, the IV&V, independent verification, doing work as a subcontractor in that area. IT audit is just a natural component of the audit itself, but we've been able to assist a lot of firms with their FSMA requirements. We have CISA individuals that can help with penetration testing for IT security areas, and with auditing general and internal controls, compliance.
Super. So as far as professional services requirements that you guys have out there for the contracting folks and for the PMs that are out there, I expect a professional services requirement. When do you expect that? Is it right away? Is it in the first part of 2017 and through 2017? Let us know what you have, and we'll make sure that we get you the information that you need based on what exactly you need. And all right, so we have about 25% that are coming up pretty close, and then the rest are not sure exactly what's happening, which is fine. That's perfect. That's exactly why we're here. And the idea is to make sure that we get your information, get you the information that you need the way you need it. Okay, we're opening up for questions. I have a couple already here. Keith, what is your lead time for staffing projects?
Okay, yeah, that's an important factor for a number of different agencies, given the peaks and valleys that can occur. We normally can staff with the client's corporation a new job with the resources within 7 to 10 days. And as I mentioned earlier, the reason for that is that we we maintain a database of over 500,000 resources available to do things in the financial services area.
All right. I guess it also depends on what they're looking for, right? So what kind of, if you could answer that for me, Sarah, what are you looking for there? And we'll get that back to that. The next one is, do you staff other than financial?
You know, we've of course done other clerical and administrative, program management type of positions, quality control positions, those type of positions too. But our focus is in the CFO type of suite with those type of labor categories.
And this is somebody from the VA. How about nursing? Do we do nursing?
Yeah, no clinical positions we do not do. You know, we try to make sure that we focus on those positions that are focused in the CFO suite or in the program management suites.
All right. And Sarah's looking for a financial analyst, so that is one that we can handle, right? So the financial pieces we can do, the clinical and the medical we don't do that. Let's see. Any other questions for Keith on either the staffing or on the HUBZone pieces? And we'll open that up if you need to. We can unmute you as well if you want to talk. All right. So if there's not, we'll get into the next part, which is staying out of hot water, which is what we all want to do when we're doing contracting, right? We want to make sure that we're not getting ourselves into trouble. So the first thing is understand the regulations, and this is the place to go to for HUBZone. We'll make sure we distribute that to you as well for the contracting of the HUBZone regulations. So we'll do that. The next is verify your contractor certs. There are no self-certs on this for HUBZone. And in most instances, when you go into, if you're using, if you're going into GSA eBuy, it's automatic. You can just choose the set aside that you would like to use, right? And the choice of two does work, and that helps everybody. Making sure, first of all, make sure you go after the qualifications first, that you have somebody that really knows what they're doing, and then go after the HUBZone, right? So that's the idea. The choice of two really does work well. Just make sure that they're qualified and they can get you what you need, and checking out that relevant past performance to make sure that they can fill that role, right? So that's the idea. The next is establishing and using BPAs. You can use HUBZone set-asides and establish BPAs, which gives you faster access to the right vendors. It also provides you access to industry experts quickly, as opposed to having to go through all that and minimizing the paperwork, which is great for everybody, right? So establishing those BPAs does help. We have some BPAs that we operate under as well, so we can do that. And with that, some of the procurement options that we have, Keith mentioned it earlier, GSA schedule holder, Seaport e-contract, or HUBZone certified, women-owned small business, and a small business as a result of that. If you need teaming relationships, we also have those for service disabled and 8A. If that's what you're required to run through, we can create an entity that will help you reach those goals no matter what it is that you need to do. So we can certainly do that. And as far as the follow-up goes, we're going to make sure that we get you the presentation, the Q&A that we just went through, and if there's any additional questions that came in through the question and answers to email, we'll make sure we get that distributed. We'll get you links to the HUBZone information and the supporting documentation. Certainly a copy of the Keystone capabilities and the procurement options that you can use to be able to purchase from us if you choose to do that. And with the last one, I'm going to ask you what you need help with the most. You need help with a HUBZone question, a requirement that Keystone might be good for, a different requirement that I would like to set aside HUBZone, not necessarily professional services that we would be involved in, or something else. Please contact me and let us know what it is that we can help you out with, because we want to make sure that we can get your job done. Just get that job done and make sure it happens. And we'll keep this open a little bit. Don't be afraid. You can let us know. And 100% have a HUBZone question. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do here. First of all, we're going to thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here on this Tuesday, and we wish you the happiest of holidays as we approach that season and all that is entailed around that. We know the craziness that happens in that world as well. So, any parting comments for everybody else, Keith?
Nope. Well, thank you very much again, and I wish everyone a happy holiday also too who joined us today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, and we appreciate you joining us, and we'll be in touch. Thanks much.